Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing Gothic chess. This variant introduces the Chancellor, which moves like a knight and a rook, and the Archbishop, which moves like a knight and a bishop. The board is 8x10 to accommodate these new pieces. My goal is to win 3 games. Let's get started with game number 1. This is basically the expansion pack of chess, so I can't imagine that the concepts go out the window, just because the board is a little bigger and we have some new pieces. We've been paired with a 1500. I'd imagine we still want to fight for the center, so I guess this is the equivalent of a Scandinavian in this variant of chess. Oh, he commented that I'm a fan. Oh, I have to respond to him. I have to say hi, thanks for watching, and good luck. There we go. Oh, that's so cool. I think that's the second time now that I've encountered one of you guys in the wild, so that's pretty crazy. I should probably also tell him that he's going to be in the video. Okay, now that we've upped his nerves a little bit by letting him know that he's going to be on YouTube, let's get back to the game. He's played this, which is threatening our own piece, and I'll go ahead and just retreat. This is kind of like the boring variation of Scandinavian and Gothic chess. I'm still going to develop my pieces as planned, right? He's doing the same thing, which I think is perfectly sound and reasonable. And he says, good luck to me. Good luck to you indeed. Although I'm sure he'll fare just fine. I barely know how to play this. We get knight to f3. I'll also develop my knights. This is typically how you want to go about things. You want to develop your slow pieces first, and then your faster pieces you can kind of decide where to land them as you go along. So, seems pretty rock solid so far. Okay, we get this pawn push. I'm assuming setting up this, fighting for center space, which makes perfect sense, very concrete. I'm going to play this a little differently, I think. Maybe fianchetto, get my archbishop out, and then just kind of castle out of the way as soon as possible. So I'll play this, and it does give him the opportunity to double my pawn on this turn. Actually, no, it doesn't. I was going to say it does, but it's okay, but it actually doesn't, because I can take it back with the archbishop, which is really interesting, because then I'd have like a double bishop battery. It's kind of a shame that in this variation we lose the long diagonal, because I feel like there's so many cool tactics based on putting your pieces on the long diagonal. But it's okay, because we have an archbishop instead, which means we can have bishop batteries without even having to promote for it. So that's pretty cool. We are 1-2 moves away from castling. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when you castle in this, your king moves 3 squares over. So in regular chess, you go 1-2 and castle. In this variation, you go 1-2-3 to castle, and same thing on the queen side. Okay, we're already in check, which is usually not a good sign. We'll play this to hit the bishop, or archbishop, and it has nowhere that it can escape to it like a knight, so it's going to have to retreat like a bishop. Nice. Bishop to g7, looks safe and sound. We'll castle on the next turn, and for the most part at that point, we've completed our development. Obviously, these pieces need to come out. Our rooks need to figure out what files they're going to line up on, but that's more like the trills at the end of this process, because for the most part, getting your king safe is like your biggest priority. Okay, we get pawn move, and we will castle. Nice. That's pretty fun. And I like that the king can be in the center and then like fly a whole bunch of squares all the way over. All right, he's setting up castle as well, and this is actually quite like a standard chess game, minus these suspicious pieces that are kind of hard to keep track of, admittedly. Let's play this. We've already got this semi-open file. Actually, maybe I should have pushed a little harder, right, to prevent this. I might actually do it right now. There's no point in playing passive. I just have to make sure I'm playing safe moves, and this is well defended by these 2 pieces. So that should be fine. Go ahead and line up the rook right behind it. We might even be able to look for like e5, d4, because we've got this setup and the queen supports e5. The rook would be looking down at his 2 suspicious pieces. Okay, he counterplays in the center. I'm going to go ahead and line up my rook with the Chancellor. I can't imagine my rook is worth even close to equal to the Chancellor, so this has to be advantageous, taking either of these pieces with the rook, which means we're setting up this tactic where we take, and it's a pin, a skewer, whatever you want to call this, and we're threatening 2 pieces that are more valuable than just the rook. Okay, we get the Chancellor to what I would call f4 intuitively, and it's not really threatening anything. It's really just gotten him out of the way. I guess the idea is if I take, he can just take back, and then he's pretty much saved everybody. The question is, do I want to trade my queen for the Chancellor? Is that an even exchange, or am I messing up my whole position by even considering that? I really don't know, but what I do know is that e5 looks really tempting here. Hits the Chancellor with tempo, it's more than well defended by 1, 2, 3 different pieces, and it grabs more center space. Okay, he sacks the Chancellor for the Archbishop, which I'm not sure if that's an even exchange. I feel like this would be worth a little bit more because it's like a rook and a knight versus a bishop and a knight. And if you just subtract the knight from either side, like algebra, you get a rook versus a bishop. Although I don't know if the fact that they're combined makes it very different. It might. I think here the natural move is just to push the pawn, right? Pass pawns are good pawns. Okay, we get checked. Oh, this is already bad. Oh, check. Oh, this is actually really bad. Check, I move out of the way, check, picks up the rook. Actually, no, the rook is defended. I only have one legal move here, so there's nothing to calculate. Okay, takes with check, I can just move here. It's the only move again. I don't know how I'm already in trouble. Although I'd imagine he's the one in trouble, right? Because now he's lost his archbishop for my rook. And that doesn't seem like a fair exchange. So he doesn't have any suspicious pieces left on the board. Only I do, which is the chancellor over here. Moves like a rook and a knight. And I say that more for myself than to remind you guys, because I'm still learning these weird pieces as I go. Let's go ahead and develop you. And I still need to get all of these pieces out. We've now entered, a deeper middle game, and I really don't have that many pieces to work with. I need to develop more of them. Okay, we get a pawn push. I'm not really sure what he's looking for. Maybe this? So I'll go ahead and develop the queen. I'll develop the queen this way, protecting this square so he can't really do the pawn push, or else I just pick up a free pawn. And on my next turn, I'd like to just move the bishop out, get the other rook into play. Okay, that's pretty annoying because it hits c7. So I have to stop that. Let's play queen here. And this is one of the reasons I really don't like waiting to develop, is because then you end up dealing with an opponent that has the initiative and is just like pounding into your position and you're just defending everything. Okay, we get this kind of intermediate move that consolidates the pawns in the center, so we'll take the opportunity to hit the knight. We can even trade the knight for the bishop, which is great because this is a very active knight for a undeveloped bishop. We'll do that little trade, maybe open a file. We can line up the rooks after. Okay, we'll do knight for knight as well. That's totally fine. Let's push. Oh, wait, that's a free pawn. Why did I push that? It's okay. It'll double his pawns. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It was really unnecessary, but not the end of the world. Okay, we'll go ahead and line up on the open file. Can't imagine that is ever a bad idea. Okay, he does the same. And we'll play this little number. We'll defend the rook with the chancellor. So should he capture our rook, we take back with the chancellor. And then the chancellor is the one looking down the open file. Sweet. Kind of works like a rook. And it's kind of tricky for him to actually find counterplay against that. Let's do this little number. We're just looking to reroute the bishop somewhere where it actually does something. And doubled pawns are usually pretty good targets because they can't defend each other for sure. Not to mention that one actually cramps the defense of the other. Okay, queen comes out to play, but I don't really see where it's going, so we'll play this. Hit the pawn. I'm sure he'll have to double here to defend it. And he does. We'll go ahead and play this. Maybe we can post up the bishop on b5, restrict his queen even more, back to d2 where it doesn't have any scope into my position. Okay, we get queen to c4 instead. That's not free, so I'm going to attack the queen and see if he takes it, because it's definitely not free. Okay, he moves back, noticing that it's not free, I suppose. And I'm not really sure what my plan is here. I'm down to a minute 30. Let's do this. Hit the queen, hit the bishop. How are you going to defend that? I'll just take back if he sacks his queen, and that should be completely winning, because then we definitely have a queen for a rook, and I do know that a queen is definitely worth more than a rook, so no doubts there. Ooh, he commits. Okay, ooh, can I take the rook instead? Oh, that's not fair though, because he takes back. So we'll take this, and this should be crushing now. Okay, he's pushing the pawn. Respectable. We'll go ahead and play this. Hit the rook now. If he pushes the pawn, I can just sack the bishop, pick up the rook right behind it, and give check. And he's in trouble. I'll leave the arrows up to see if it plays out exactly as I said. Nice. All right, we pick it up, we give check. And now it's just conversion. Let's see. I guess we'll just take this. Anything works here. We can even push to promote the pawn. We're up on time. I mean, we have many, many things in our favor here. We'll just push the pawn. Everybody defends everybody else, which is fantastic. Okay, oh, that's not how you move. Darn it. Let's play there. Hit the knight. Let's go ahead and sack. Once he takes back, we'll just push the pawn. Really hard to mess this up now because there's no more suspicious pieces, and we're just gonna have an extra queen and an extra piece while we're at it. All right, well, oh, I can develop to anything? Oh, I have to do it. I have to do it for the memes. We'll promote to a chancellor. I forgot that was even an option. Let's do this little number, line up check. Actually, I just realized we could have also taken here. Actually, that should probably come first. We'll do that next. All right, we'll get the king out of danger. He's down to 20 seconds. He's gonna fight until the last move, which I respect. We'll take here. I'll even let him promote if he wants to. That's totally cool, because I'm definitely getting checkmate on this side. All right, we'll play this. King comes down. I'm not really sure how we finish him off, but we'll play check. Obviously, he's threatening right now our chancellor. We'll play check. Oh, and that's mate. Nice. All right, so we've won our first game, and I have to say GG's. All right, that felt pretty good. I feel like I got a good sense for how that works. Pretty much just like chess. In fact, we saw a lot more chess principles than we see in other variants. Like, we saw the doubled pawns come into play. We saw the open file come into play. Developing towards the center, castling was all really important in that game. So actually pretty close to standard chess, minus the weird pieces that, kind of hard to keep track of. We'll move on to game number 2. All right, game number 2. And wait, I think we've played this guy before. I'm pretty sure I played him in the last episode. That's so crazy that I remember the username, and I remember the profile picture. Okay, he's played towards the center. I will say, I was going to say, I feel pretty good because I've seen now how this is pretty similar to normal chess. But this guy, I'm pretty sure, steamrolled me in the last episode. I think it was an extra large chess, which is crazy. But here we are again, running it back. We'll play this, go ahead and develop the bishop, develop the knights. Just looking for standard development. He's looking to castle pretty quickly, it seems. Maybe looking for this push. So we'll play this to cover that square. We'll probably look for this push, and it seems that he's completely allowed it, so we'll go ahead and play it. I don't love that I'm doing it with my king still in the center, just because this is a weird variant, but I can't imagine that it's so terribly bad. I'll go ahead and develop the bishop, and look for this, and then just castles, I guess? Yeah, that looks reasonable. We'll play this. We've got this setup, which is pretty cool. Okay, and he castles, and we will do the same. Yeah, it's pretty close to normal chess, minus the fact, that the board is nice and wide, and we've got these weird pieces. All right, we get what I would call an e4 push, even though, well, I guess that would be e4. Well, I don't know. We get what I would call e4. Can I just take? If he takes, I take. If he takes, I take. If he takes, I take. And I would win that exchange. So, yes, I can. Free pawn. This is where I get my revenge. Haha. All I needed was a different variant that was more like normal chess. Raw, I come forth. Fear me. Don't fear me. I'm not good at these variants. Okay, we get the recapture. I guess I'll just take with this. Archbishop sees archbishop. Only other defender that he has is the queen, and I have the knight and the bishop defending my archbishop. So, doing quite well, I'd say. I'm also happy to exchange these two, so it becomes more like normal chess on a very wide board. Because that seems to be my greatest weakness. In the last couple of episodes of variant chess in general, my greatest weakness is that I get comfortable with the position. I start listening to my intuition when I shouldn't, and then I fall for silly things. I think right now he just dropped his queen by accident. Unless that was on purpose and he determined that the archbishop was worth more than the queen, which is totally fine as well. Let's go ahead and play this. Hit the chancellor right behind it. We can drop the bishop back and protect the king a little bit extra. And then all that's left is to use all 4 of these pieces to fight for the open file. Okay, he moves the chancellor onto the open file. So now it's threatening the bishop. I'll move the bishop back. Go ahead and move my rook to the open file. Haven't really decided where my queen goes. I guess just right here, so it can protect the open file. And then I just double everybody up. Everybody gets on the open file. We all have a good party. And checkmate. Or something like that. I don't know. Okay, we get knight to e5. Don't think that actually obstructs my plan in any way. So, onto the open file we go. Also kind of playing here with the fact that he's pretty behind in development and doesn't seem to be very interested in mending that part of his position. So, we'll develop the queen now, and then we can move, I guess we can do a normal rook stack, as long as we move the chancellor up like that, like a knight, and then it can work like a rook afterwards. We'll see if he actually addresses this, because that's going to be a pretty big problem for him if he doesn't. Okay, he lines up the archbishop with the queen, so I'd imagine the idea is to take. I can't take because he just takes back. So I'll give him props, that's pretty creative. I guess the simple solution is just to move my queen out of the way, but then it kind of walks into the bishop lining up, which is a little bit uncomfortable. So what about bishop here, looking at the archbishop? That seems reasonable, I'll play that. I don't love that it kind of obstructs my plan, which was to fight for the open file, but a simple tactic shows up on the board, I do have to address that. I can't go totally haywire. Not to mention that actually now I can develop the chancellor to e7, which is good. I can get some scope this way, and then the rooks can work like rooks have always worked. So we'll develop the Chancellor. Not really sure what his plan is. He's moved these pieces the last couple of moves, and we're still falling behind on this side of the board. Okay, we get the Archbishop back. Not really sure what that does. I was going to say it anchors it, but the truth is if this knight moves, I'm still looking at it with a weaker piece, so the knight is still pinned, even though this is protected now. What if I develop? If I develop my rook and he takes it, I take the Archbishop, he takes back, I take, and at that point, effectively, I've traded a knight and an Archbishop for a bishop and a rook. Is that a fair trade? I have no idea. Let's move the rook. We're going to find out today if it's a fair trade. I would argue that it is, because these are equal, and I would assess that my rook is worth less than the Archbishop, almost guaranteed. So, should be fine. And if it's not fine, then guess what? It's all part of the learning process. Okay, my opponent spent a decent amount of time on that move, and when I say decent, I mean a generous amount of time. He's down to almost a minute now, and we're still sitting basically at 3. So I'm not really sure what he's plotting, but like I said, it's kind of played out the way I said at the beginning. He's moved a lot of these pieces, and now finally we see knight to a3. He's, looking to escape, and now it's our time to figure out what our plan actually is here. Let's go ahead and start with this move. Maybe I can centralize it later, maybe I can trade it for the Archbishop, and I can also kind of gauge where his head is at. Oh no, wait, if he takes, I've just realized, okay, if he takes, I take back, yeah, and there's no more pin, so he can just pick up the exchange for free. And he can mess up my pawn structure right behind it. Okay, that was terrible calculation, but I guess that's what happens when you play with suspicious pieces, and you're unfamiliar with how they work. I guess let's take with a rook so we can maintain this battery. So if he takes, I can at least take with check. So he check, he moves out of the way, I take back, this traps my bishop, I can sacrifice, this guy just slides all the way over and protects everything, so never mind, we'll just take back. Okay, I'm not particularly comfortable with this position. Let's play the bishop back so there's somebody plugging this hole for the king. We get this knight developed, but it's not actually looking at anything, so I guess that's fine. We'll play the bishop to e5. Maybe we can place it on d4. Plug up this open file because he has 2 rooks, effectively 3, depending on how you want to look at it. So me closing up the open file is probably in my favor here, even though I'm working with bishops. He's also down to 36 seconds, and we're playing 5-2, so 5 minutes base time, 2 extra seconds delay. Not 2 extra seconds delay, sorry. 2 seconds increment for every move. Okay, knight goes back. I'm assuming it's rerouting this way. Let's go ahead and play the queen back. We double up on this file, and we defend this pawn. So there's no weird tactics like knight moves over here, and then he sacrifices, and then picks up this pawn, because now it's defended by the queen. So he's down to 25 seconds. We'll go ahead and we can offer a trade, or we can play back. So when he takes, I take back. But the knight would be stopped here by the bishop, even though it's looking this way. Okay, let's offer a knight trade. If he takes the bishop, we might even take back with the pawn, push e5, f5, e4. And with 22 seconds, I'd be willing to bet that that's too much pressure. Okay, he takes on c7 instead, which I wish I could say I saw, but I didn't. Let's see. e5? Just kind of looking to take more space in the center. If knight to c6, I move out of the way, and then I have this nice pawn structure no matter how he takes. We'll play knight to e6. The knight can always take back and sit on that outpost as well. He's down to 16 seconds. I know it's a very dirty way to play, but it'll probably win me the game. Okay, bishop comes here and takes the outpost. You only live once, so we're going to sacrifice. Yep, we're going for it. We're going to play this however we have to play it to win. Let's see, we might even go knight here and look for this check. We could mate back here. We have to play dynamic. He's down to 6 seconds. There's no way he can cope with this amount of pressure in the position. Okay, knight comes back, we'll play this. We're looking for check. Oh, that's not mate because this piece can drop back. Oh, he forfeited on time. Okay, so we did win the game, I'll admit. I'm not particularly proud of that one. Let's take a quick look at the analysis. Okay, I would say that maybe right up until here, we were fine, if not a little bit better. And then as soon as I played that disastrous move, we not only lost the exchange, but we weakened our pawn structure. And from here on out, it was really hard to play this. We tried to keep fighting for the center. I would say this is justified, even without the time situation, just because of the number of weaknesses that it creates in his position, creates a lot of opportunities for my pieces. And these kinds of weaknesses are very hard for rooks and knights to defend. Really, only a queen or a bishop could defend something like this. And effectively, he has 3 rooks on the board. So I think that was justified in terms of practical play. But, after this move, everything really went downhill. We did win, though, so we are 2 for 2. Let's go ahead and move on to game number 3. All right, game number 3, we've been given the white pieces, so we'll play what I would call the equivalent of d4, and we're met with what is basically d5. All right, we'll develop the knights towards the center. Great. And how do I organize the rest of my pieces? I guess I'll just play here. Look at this knight. Is that not free? I can't just take that? Looking at the queen as well? Yeah, I can understand. Maybe he thought this piece was that piece, thought this was defended, but it's not. Unfortunately, this is not a very forgiving variant. You fall for a tactic, it's going to be a little bit hard to come back from. We'll take. He takes back, sure. Let's play this. We'll fianchetto, move the archbishop out. Actually, we might even move it out this way. But the plan is to castle short, as he just did, and play with our 1 pawn advantage. Which, now that I think about it, really is not all that substantial, but I can imagine that it is. We'll move these 2 guys out this way. Castle, the queen might just come up here. And I think we're looking at a reasonable position. Okay, that is pretty annoying, right? It's kind of like a skewer because this piece cannot be worth as much as the archbishop. Let's play this. Boot the bishop. This is not pinned. Remember, this moves like a knight, a bishop. So the bishop moves back. We'll go ahead and castle. And now we just kind of have to untangle this little situation, which we have sat now behind a triangle of pawns. So let's see, we get this guy attacking here. We'll play rook to what I would call e1. Defend the pawn. Maybe we can look for a pawn push and eventually kind of maneuver our way out of this situation. We will push this forward. Maybe we can look for this pawn break. And I would say that's pretty promising. We might have to move these guys out of the way first, though, because the whole point was that I didn't want to trade the archbishop for the bishop. So maybe we'll have to move these guys out of the way first, but that's still the plan. Are you trapped? I mean, he's not trapped. I could always move him back, but I'd really rather not. That's a lot of pressure on this square. So if I move him back, nobody's defending this anymore. Oh, that's pretty annoying. Let's just trade. We'll trade. It's definitely not a fair trade, but we'll move the knight towards the center, threaten his own pieces, and we need to start looking for some kind of counterplay here, because there's no way we got the white pieces and we're already playing defense. Okay, cool. He gives the trade back, so we're at least equal now. He's looking at my chancellor, which I really don't want to trade for a rook, so I won't. I'll move him out of the way. Okay, queen comes and puts more pressure on this pawn. I guess it's deserved that I pinned my own piece, and now I'm paying for it. Let's go ahead and defend the pawn. I'd like to get my queen out, rook here, and then maybe I can solve my problems. We'll give it a try. Obviously, he's going to double his rook, so I'll meet him and do the same. Oh, he was hitting my pawn the whole time. Ah, I see. How creative. If I take, he takes back. It's not ideal, but it might be all right. Okay, the queen looking to trade for the chancellor. Is that a fair trade? I have no idea, to be honest. I'm going to allow it in the name of grabbing the open file. I'm going to try to play a little bit more conceptually here. Grab the open file, look for piece activity. What? Oh, he can defend this because this moves like a knight as well. Ah, I'm so glad my opponent is so creative. That makes me very happy. Let's go ahead and take. Takes back, sure. Let's play this. Hits the queen. Okay, we're in check. We'll go ahead and trade. And now I just have to be careful here with this, which would be very scary counterplay. So let's go ahead and return. We cover this square, we defend the c2 pawn, and I think we're doing okay here. This could be kind of an issue because if he forces me to trade that passed pawn, I might have to sacrifice for it, but I'm not sure that he's going to see that. Okay, we get the bishop here instead, which hits my chancellor, which isn't very kind. We'll go ahead and play this. Okay, now he might actually see this, right? Because it defends this. What is that? We'll play this. Should be okay. Are we going to go into an endgame here? That would be quite amusing, an 8x10 endgame. Oh, I guess he could. Oh, I thought he was going to take this pawn. Okay, we're in an endgame. I guess that's good news. You could say we made it to the endgame, especially given how sketchy my position was for a decent bit of time there. If he threatens this, there's pawn forward, takes. He would take this pawn. I guess that's okay. We'll go for this pawn in the meantime. Goal of the endgame is really just to create a passed pawn. So the sooner I can do that, the sooner I will be in an okay position. Okay, he's hitting this pawn now. What happens if I just take right away? You take, I play there, and I'm much slower than he is. Okay, if I push, we have this fork, which is probably even worse. I guess we don't have much of a choice. Let's just play that. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a pawn. We'll threaten another pawn. He could just defend it. Okay, but he doesn't. If I take, he takes. I'm probably worse there, so I'll hit the knight instead. Nowhere that he can, oh, he can always move here and then just hit this pawn. Ah, okay. Fair play. Let's see if I push again. You play there, you hit this pawn. If I take, you take. I don't think I've done myself any favors there. Okay, let's just go for it. YOLO. Let's do our best here. We'll push. Accept this pawn trade. He will have 2 outside pass pawns, but I have an extra pawn on this side of the board. Let's go ahead and harass this pawn. If he pushes it, he loses it. Aha! He drops this pawn, which is really, really good news. Remember, if 2 pieces are right next to each other, that knight can't move and defend that pawn in 1 turn. So we'll take, and now we just have to get rid of this pawn, and then we'll be fine. So let's play this. We'll threaten the pawn, and it seems that he gets a little bit thrown off when I attack his pawn. He tends to just start moving it. Okay, this time he actually defended it, so we will bring backup. Okay, he starts pushing it. We will move our king again towards the pawn. We want him to kind of panic, which is exactly what it seems he's doing. We approach the pawn, and how on earth is he going to defend it now? Because the knight can't move to any of these squares. Okay, he pushes the pawn again. I just come for the pawn now. I've left this side of the board a little bit weak. Ooh, whoa, fancy Nancy over here. Okay, if I take, he can play, whoops, I guess that is how the knight moves, but he could play here and come for these pawns. Or I can just move my knight down and threaten this. If I move my knight down and he moves here anyways, I still have to take. He takes, and I actually might be worse there anyways. Probably my best shot though, so I'm gonna give it a try, just in case he thinks he has any tactics left. Okay, I can just take here though. Take, and I think I can win this. Not because it is objectively winning, but I just think I can finesse a win out of this. Okay, we'll play this. E4. Great, we now have a passed pawn. He's gonna try to create one as well. We'll play this. If check takes check, I can create connected passed pawns, then I can catch this guy on the outside. So check, check. Wherever he moves, I can give another check, and then I just come and pick up this pawn. And truth is, by engine analysis, 3 versus 4 is probably, 9 out of 10 times a draw. But unless your opponent knows how to play it, it's, 10 out of 10 times a win. Because he can't actually take either of these pawns. Now that he's taken it, I can just run away, and there's no way for him to catch me. So all you want to do is create that pawn island. I'll create a queen because I'm not really interested in messing up again. All you have to do is create a pawn island, or rather connected passed pawns that he can't capture, keeps the king there, and then go pick up your extra pawn. We'll go ahead and catch him on the back rank, pre-move all the way up, and back rank checkmate. All right, nice. That was game number 3. We've won all 3 games. Whether we deserve to win all 3 is a completely different point, but we did win all 3. If you guys did enjoy this variant, please let me know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.